Hi everybody, welcome to lesson 3.1b. If you need to pause the video right now to take out your notes and to get your calculator, please do that because you are going to need both for today's lesson. Our goal for lesson 3.1b is to locate rational numbers on the number line. That means both positive and negative numbers. Yesterday we compared them and today we're going to locate them on the number line. That means plot with a dot where they're located. We're going to see negative numbers too. Before we start, how do you divide a number line into fractional parts? This number line goes from 0 to 1. Can you take 0 to 1 and divide it into halves? Remember, halves is 2, so we want to break it into 2 equal parts. You draw a line right there, wouldn't you? So from here to here, that's a jump of 1/2, and then here would be 2 halves, or 1. 2 halves is the same as 1. All right, let's divide into fourths. So fourths means 4. We need to break this up into 4 equal pieces. Okay, well there's a half, and if we put another line here and another line here, we've got 4 equal parts. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 equal parts. So this jump would be 1/4, then 2/4, which is a half, 3/4, and 4/4. 4/4 is 1. All right, let's divide it into thirds. Thirds is 3 equal parts. So do your best to break that into 3 equal parts. What do you think? 1 jump, 2 jumps, 3 jumps. So from here to here would be a 1/3, and then 2/3 and 3/3. And we know 3/3 is 1 whole. Perfect. Okay, now that we've got that down, let's do some plotting. We're going to locate. With our first number line, we're going to be locating 2 1/4, 7 halves, and 4.75. Now, yesterday when we were comparing, we talked about how it's easiest when you compare when everything's in a decimal. But sometimes fractions are easy to plot on the number line, especially those friendly fractions like a half or a fourth or 3/4 or a third or 2/3. Sometimes those are easy to plot too. So you could change things to decimals. You could think about fractions, whatever's easiest for you. Let's start and we'll see where we go with this. I'm going to use my red marker, 2 1/4. So my whole number is 2. I'm going to be after the 2, and I want to go 1/4. Well, do you see how this is broken into half? Let's break from 2 to 3 up into fourths. So remember what we did before. We want 4 equal spots here. There we go. Let's jump. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 4 spots. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so we want 2 1/4. So we're going to start at the 2, and we're going to jump 1/4. There is 2 1/4. So 1/4 isn't too bad to graph there, is it? 2 1/4. Okay, let's try the next one. I'm going to get rid of those little markers. Here I have 7 halves. 7 halves, that's an improper fraction. Let's change it to a decimal and see what that tells us. So I'm going to type in 7 divided by 2, and so will you. Do you see what it says? It says 3.5. And you know that 3.5 is the same thing as 3 1/2. Okay, 0.5 and 1/2 are the same thing. Well, we know where that is. Let's go 3, and from 3 to 4, we want to break that up into halves. It already is. So we're going to go 3, and we want to go to the right a half. 3 1/2 right here. So there's the location of point B. All right, C. Now C says 4.75. I'm not sure if you can see it on there or not. 4.75. What do you know about 0.75? What fraction is that, 0.75? Do you know? 3/4. Yes. This really is the same as, let's see if I have room right here, 4 3/4. This is the same as 0.75. So think about, you know that. That might be helpful. So 4, I need to break this into fourths, 3/4. So I'm going to, here's the half, here's a, break it in half again, there's fourths. So start at your 4, and we want 3/4. Okay, so we want 3 jumps. We're going to go 1/4, 2/4, 3/4. And there I am right there. Can erase my lines. I'm at 4.75, okay, which is 4 3/4. So now we can see smallest, bigger, biggest, right? As we move to the right, we get bigger. Okay, so here we changed the decimal into a fraction because I felt like that was easier. Here we change the fraction into a decimal. And here we left it just the same. So I guess it depends on what's easiest for you, decimals or fractions. Let's try this next one down here. All right, get ready for 6 1/3. All right, 6 1/3. 6 1/3, and make it a little bit darker so that you can see it. Okay, 6 1/3, here's 6. Oh, from 6 to 7, there's no tick marks. Well, we're gonna want thirds. So I'm gonna break this up into thirds, here and here, 3 equal parts. Okay, we want 1/3, so start at the 6, and I want 1 jump out of the 3 that I broke it into. 6 1/3, 1 jump right here, 6 1/3, there you are. About 1/3 of the way past 6. Okay, so that's point D, 6 1/3. Let's try point E. It says 8 2/3. Just in case you can't read it, I'm just going to write it again right here, 8 2/3. Okay, that's a pretty friendly fraction, 2/3. I know what that looks like. So I know it's going to be bigger than 8. So I'm going to break from 8 and 9 into thirds. There we go, tick mark, and there's a tick mark. Breaking it into thirds, we want 2/3. So start at the 8, we want 2 jumps out of the 3. So here's 1 jump, 2 jumps, 3 jumps, too far. 8 1/3 and 2/3. There we go, 8 2/3. So that's where the blue dot's gonna be. Okay, here's my green. Now if you can read this, it says 9.5, 9.5. What do you know about 0.5? 0.5, that's a half. So think about 0.5. Is there a friendly fraction you can change it into? Of course, a half. So 9 1/2, and about right here in the middle, between 9 and 10, there you are, 9 1/2. That was pretty easy. And we have a purple one here too, 7.4. Ooh, 7.4. I'm gonna write it a little bit bigger, 7.4. 0.4, well that's almost 0.5. So it's almost halfway. Remember, we're just estimating here. I know that this is halfway, this is 7.5, so 7.4 has got to be a little bit before that. I could estimate right about there, okay? The other thing I could do is I could rewrite this. This is 7 4/10. So I could write this as 7 4/10. But then you could simplify 4/10 by dividing by 2. If I divide them both by 2, I would have 7 2/5, right? So 7 2/5, if I even broke this up into 5 parts, I could graph 7 2/5. Or if I left it 4/10, I could break it into 10s, 10 little tick marks, and jump over 4. But really, you guys, we're just estimating. So 7.4 is really close to 7.5. It's just a little bit before it. We can locate that, just estimating. Okay, approximate. All right, there we go. We've got them. All right, let's try something that's maybe a little bit harder. Negatives on the other side of the number line. Okay? So let's see what we've got first. Point A. It's purple. We've got -2 1/4. All right, we can do this. -2 1/4. So I'm going to go to -2, and then I've got to go 1/4 of the way past that. So here, if I'm at 0, I'm going to go first -1, -2, and then I've got to go more. I've got to go 1/4 past that. So we're going to be after the -2 here, and I want to break this up into 4. This is already broken up into half. Let's break it up into 4ths. So I broke it up into 4 pieces. That's the denominator. Let's write this a little bit bigger so you can see it. 4 pieces is the denominator. I want 1 jump out of 4. So I'm going to go, okay, -1, here's -2. I'm at the -2. Now we're going to go 1/4 more. And we're going to go 1 jump, 1/4. One of those fourths. Right there. That's where we are right here. -2 1/4. Okay, so we're going to be more into the negatives past -2. All right, let's look at B. -7/2. 7/2. -7/2. That's hard to graph. Let's change that into a decimal. Let's use our calculator. Let's get it into a different form. So on your calculator, type in 7 divided by 2. I know it's negative. It's going to stay negative. What is 7 divided by 2? 3.5? Yes. Okay, -3.5. All right, well, that's the same thing as a half, -3.5. Okay, so here we go. Let's go. We're going to jump -1, -2, -3. We got to keep jumping. One more half, and halfway. There we go, -3.5. All right. I'm just going to leave it a decimal. I know it's a half. I could write it as a half. It's the same thing. But I could leave it as a decimal too. 3.5, negative 3.5, either way. All right, now I'm on to the green one. Negative 4.75. 0.75. That's something that I want you to be able to recognize as a fraction. It's just easier sometimes to graph with a fraction if you're plotting, okay? So 0.75, that's, think 75 cents out of $1. What fraction of $1 is that? 3/4, yes. So this really is the same thing as negative 4 and 3/4. I really want you to be able to see that. 3/4 is the same thing as 0.75. Try it in your calculator, 3 divided by 4 if you don't believe me. So these two are the same thing. So now we're going to be jumping negative 4. So we're going to go negative 1, negative 2, negative 3. Ooh, whoops. Negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4, all the way over here. We got to go 3/4 more of a jump. All right, so I got to break this into fourths. There's half, there's another, there we go. There's 4 equal spaces. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, we want 3 jumps. So negative 4, whoop, 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 whoop. There's negative 4. We want negative 4 and 1/4, 2/4, 3/4. There we go. Really, really going to be close to 5, huh? So that is negative 4.75. Really close to negative 5, isn't it? So when I saw that decimal, I think of a friendly fraction I can change it into, 3/4. Let's go down here to this number line. D's in purple. Negative 4 and 1/3. Oh, that's not bad. Thirds, we know thirds. And actually, look at the number line. It's broken into thirds. Perfect. Okay, so we're going to go negative 4, negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4. I got to go further. I got to make another jump of 1/3. Look, it's broken into thirds. So I want to jump 1 out of 3 spaces. 1 jump. There we go. Negative 4 and 1/3. There you are, negative 4 and 1/3. All right. So instead of moving to the right, we're just moving to the left in the negatives when we're plotting negatives. Not hard. Okay. Let's try this one, negative 2.5. What do you know about 0.5? It's a half, isn't it? So think about that, what you know about that decimal. It's really negative 2.5, isn't it? Okay, so we're going to jump negative 1, negative 2 is our whole number. Now we got to make another jump of a half. These aren't broken into a half, so estimate where a half would be. Halfway between the negative 2 and 3 would be about right here, negative 2.5. So we jump negative 1, negative 2, and a half more. Okay, just jump into the left, get further into the negatives. Okay, oh, this one's hard to read. Negative 2/3. All right, so no whole number. We're going to be right here past 0. We're not even as far as negative 1, are we? Negative 2/3. So we see that this is broken up, 1, 2, 3. The top number tells me how many jumps to make. I'm going to jump 1 and 2 right here. Remember, this is negative 1/3 and this is negative 2/3 right here. Negative 2/3. So 2 jumps. Getting close to this right here to the negative 1. And there we are. So graphing with negatives, it's a little trickier because you're going to the negative side, but you got to think about what you already know. All right, let's try one more. This is going to be the hardest one. And actually, if you want to, you can pause the video, you try it, and then check your work with me if you'd like. Okay, if you pause it, let's check your work. Otherwise, we can do it together as well. Okay, A here is negative 7.5. What do I know about 0.5? It's the same thing as half, negative 7 and a half. So here we go. We're going to go negative 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and we need a half a jump more. So boop, half a jump more, right in between the 7 and 8. Negative 7.5. There you are, negative 7.5. Let's try B. B is negative 5 and 2/3. Okay, I wouldn't change this into a decimal. It's going to make it harder for you. 2/3 is a pretty friendly fraction. Let's work with it. So negative 5 is our whole number. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now I got to jump 2/3 more. 2/3 more that way, to the left. Okay, but this isn't broken into thirds, so let's break it into thirds real quick. There we go. Just broke it into 3 pieces, 3 equal pieces. Now the bottom number tells me how many pieces to break it into. The top number tells me how many jumps to make, right? So I'm going to go to negative 5, then we're going to go 1, 2 jumps. 2/3 of the way. We're 2/3 of the way close to negative 6 here. Negative 5 2/3. There we are. Okay, C. C is negative 2 1/4. Now 1/4, pretty friendly fraction there. I wouldn't change it. You could change it to a decimal, negative 2.25, but that might make it harder. It's an easy fraction. Keep it. So negative 2 1/4. So we're going to go negative 1, negative 2. Now we got to jump 1/4 of the way further into the negatives. 1/4. So 4. Let's break this into 4 pieces. The denominator says 4, and 1 jump over. So negative 1, negative 2. Let's go 1/4. We're going to hop 1 place. There's 1/4 of the way. There it is, negative 2 1/4. All right, our last one is in black here. It says negative 9.9. Now this is a decimal. Boy, negative 9.9. Isn't that really close to negative 10? Really close, isn't it? Okay, this is negative 9 9/10, isn't it? So I can think about, I know that 10/10 would make a whole. It's really close to 10. All right, so we're going to go all the way back to negative 9, and we want to go 9/10 of the way. So think about if this was broken into 10 little equal parts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Ooh, tiny little spots there. I'd be way over here at negative 9.1, negative 9.2, negative 9.3. I'd be really close to negative 10, wouldn't I? Really close right here. Oh, just so close. Negative 9.9. Oh, I can hardly write that. Yeah, very close to 10. So use what you know. It's just estimating. We're locating by just estimating. All right? Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that you can understand after this lesson how to locate positive and negative rational numbers on the number line. Happy practicing, and remember, a calculator can be helpful. Thanks for joining me today.